Have you got the shivers? Have you got the shakes? You got the withdrawal symptoms starting to kick in? What are you Don't get going down that road, people. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about football.
Oh, not the remnants of dry January?
Yeah, we're not talking about crackheads and On Patrol Live and all that stuff. We're talking about football withdrawals.
Because as we're gearing up for the big game on Sunday, as we record this on February 5th, 2025, dropping tomorrow morning, Thursday the 6th.
And of course, the big game, as you said. And I really don't care. I'll put Super Bowl licks out there like Gronkowski does. I love that, by the way. Super Bowl licks.
This whole thing is bullshit.
Yeah, we'll get to the trademark stuff later.
It's all a bunch of hooey.
Yeah, we've trademarked this, we've patented this, we've patented that.
Shut up already.
Jesus, God, get over it. It is your favorite politically incorrect sports commentary show. It is Sports Frenzy 2.0. He's your Uncle Dave.
He's your Uncle Kev.
Dave Height and Kevin Crane here, as always, late Wednesday, early Thursday morning. And as I mentioned, we're going through withdrawals. I got the shakes. I don't know what I'm going to do. Because this is it. Football season is done after this coming Sunday. And then we have to find lives until September.
As we hang on the edge of our seat precariously through free agency. And then the draft. And then free agency.
And I remember so fondly last year when you and I were so happy at the draft as we were, oh, Caleb, we got Caleb. Oh, we got Roma Dunze. Oh, my God. And then it all went to shit. And now, again, we're happy. We got the number one coach, presumably, out there.
He's put together a pretty solid staff.
And the latest addition, of course, running backs coach, not offensive coordinator, running backs coach, Eric Bieniemy. My, how the mighty have fallen.
Yep. Frightening, isn't it?
The man just a few short years ago who was expected to be a prime head coaching candidate is now the Bears running backs coach.
Yep, coming back from a stint in college with the college ranks, so.
Yeah, that whole UCLA thing, overall, I'm not blaming him for that, but that was just a mess.
Yeah, UCLA football not in good shape at all.
Right. So again, just like last year, Bear fans like us, thumbs up, optimism until it's not.
Until the season comes rolling around again. But at least there's more to look forward to for next football season, as long as Poles can pull his head out of his ass and fix the offensive line.
Well, and it can't get much worse. You know, you would expect growth out of Caleb Williams. You would expect a better offensive line. You would expect better
more
personnel.
consistent defense.
Now, something you and I talked about, I would say 4 months ago, could possibly come to fruition if we wanted it to. As we start off, of course, with our NFL talk for one of the last times. Again, until the fall. You speculated on it. You got me all excited about it. And now it could happen. But what price do you pay for Myles Garrett?
I know. He's come out asking to be traded. Cleveland. Nope. Don't want to entertain any thoughts. Now it's starting to trickle out. Well, maybe if there's multiple first-round picks offered out there to even get into the conversation. With all the needs that the Bears have, going multiple first-round picks is too steep to pay at this juncture.
Yeah, I have a problem with it because of the price tag. Now, I've heard what you said. I've heard other people say they're overreaching just so they can get a decent price.
Yeah.
Now, what I have heard, if the Bears offer their one and both of their second round picks, they would be probably the front runners. I don't even know if I want to give that up, though.
No, we need offensive line help badly.
We are in line to get right now the second best offensive lineman on the board if we stay at 10. And you're right. That is the glaring need. How about Montez Sweat steps up?
Yeah,
Since we made that move and we paid him all the money that we did.
Disappeared.
He was supposed to be our Myles Garrett.
Yeah. And he's been non-existent this last season.
And this always seems to happen to us. We go crazy. We trade for Khalil Mack, and he was good.
Came out like a ball of fire and then tapered off.
And we went after Julius Peppers years ago.
And that was a disaster.
Yep. Remember Jared Allen?
That was another disaster.
So I would prefer to try to draft younger players.
Let's develop
and groom them into the system. Now that we have supposedly the new young genius as a head coach. I, of course, am still in love with Ashton Jonty. I would still not have a problem with drafting him. I'm just saying.
We could use a back.
2-back set is working if you have 2 phenomenal backs. Detroit has proven it.
Yep. If we got him along with Roschon, that would be a nice backfield to have.
Well, you got Swift.
Maybe. I could see him being moved.
He actually was healthy last year, which was a shock to me. So maybe you're right. Maybe you don't keep rolling the dice with him knowing that at some point he is going to break down. And he's not Derrick Henry.
No, that and he needs blocking in front of him to do anything. And the Bears have not had that.
Agreed. And I don't, the one rumor that I've been hearing about the Bears that I do not like, and maybe this is just me, I would prefer a 2-back set. Now, I'm not just saying Ashton Jonty. I'm not just saying that. Even if we were to pick up a solid free agent or even a good running back in the second or third round. But they're talking about, don't be surprised if the Bears get a wide receiver at 10. I'm like, come on.
We don't need another wide damn receiver.
Come on.
We're fine.
Or going after Cooper Kupp.
No.
This is why you thought ahead last year and drafted Rome.
Yes, now you need to fix the offensive line, which has been ignored year after year after year after year after year.
You've got DJ, you've got Rome. Let Keenan Allen walk.
Yep, it'll be fine.
And worry about finding a slot receiver later. Or a burner later and moving Rome into the slot.
Whatever. You are okay.
You have got to get the offensive line straight. You've got to get more pieces on defense. This will be the year for polls. This will be the year.
Yeah. Yeah, this is it.
Now, of course,
yeah. In 3 years, 15 wins? Not good.
No, and I think what's haunting him is the fact that he was backing Matt Eberflus, one of the worst head coaches, not only for the Bears, but in the last decade in football.
Yes, one of the most incompetent head coaches that you've seen.
Yeah. So the latest list of coordinators, we'll run this down real quick just for grins, shits, and giggles. Nick Caley takes over as the new Texans offensive coordinator, and Bobby Slowick still doesn't have a job. And remember, last year he was a hot commodity.
Yep.
And I told you I was scared to death the Bears were going to go after him. And now he's unemployed. The Raiders continue to impress me.
Carroll knows what he's doing.
And Tom Brady. Chip Kelly, leaving Ohio State, will now come in and run the Raiders offense. I'm telling you, if they can somehow, some way, get a quarterback in there, whether they move up in the draft or if they get a Sam Darnold.
They could get Sam Darnold.
But again, that is by far the toughest division in football already.
Just from the coaching standpoint.
Yes. And you consider the fact the other three quarterbacks, Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, that I would love. I'm not paying for direct ticket, but I would love to see those battles every week.
Those would be fun.
Jets' new offensive coordinator is Tanner Engstrand. Good luck with that.
Yep.
The Raiders do bring back the defensive coordinator from the previous regime, Patrick Graham. Steve Wilkes doesn't have a great track record, so of course he's going to be the new Jets defensive coordinator. Clayton Adams is the new Dallas offensive coordinator. And then God help me for this, but I'm going to bounce this off of you and see if you think this has any semblance of sanity. This is coming from Cam Newton, the man who dresses like a pimp. But I think he might be onto something. He says, after he heard about the hiring of Schottenheimer and Eberflus and now Clayton Adams, who really doesn't have much experience. Now, Schottenheimer will call the plays.
Right.
Cam Newton says they are in tankathon mode already for Arch Manning.
Good Lord.
He thinks the Cowboys are going to try to do as poorly as possible this upcoming season to get themselves in a position to get Arch Manning.
Is Arch going to come out after one full season as a starter?
Well, he's already the Heisman favorite. If he were to win, it depends. If he were to win the Heisman, maybe. But how important is a national championship? His dad didn't win one, or his uncle, right? His uncles did not win.
Nope.
At Tennessee and at Mississippi. So
maybe he wants to do something.
Sorry,
who knows?
I get the whole Peyton Manning sperm tree mixed up. I can't remember whose sperm went. Yeah, whose sperm went into whose vagina with the Mannings. But yeah, that was an interesting conspiracy theory coming from somebody who I think is about as dumb as a box of rocks. So I got to give him credit for that. And
give him credit for that, but it could also be Jerry's just losing it mentally.
Check out the weekend edition, by the way. Again, I saw the scene. Because we're getting a week away, 2 weeks away from reviewing Landman. And I finally watched the scene that everybody touted him in. He is unbelievably good in it. Unbelievably good.
Really?
So, yeah.
Maybe he had a lucid moment.
Future as an actor, not as a general manager or the owner of a professional football team. And of course, all rumors are that once the Super Bowl is over, win or lose for the Eagles, Kellen Moore will be the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. But the big rumor is now, which I think is disgusting, John Gruden will take over as his OC, his offensive coordinator. That's how far this blackballing of John Gruden has gone, where he will have to take an offensive coordinator position.
I'm even surprised that they're entertaining letting him on the sidelines at all.
You're talking about the NFL.
Yeah.
Because they hate him so much.
Well, Roger Goodell hates him so much. Let's clarify this.
Yeah, so let's move into this. First off, let's move into something disgusting with the Saints. And then we'll move on to Rodgers' big plans for the NFL in the future. with the Saints. Of course, hosting the Super Bowl this year. Now a report has come out saying the Saints helped out more than was originally thought with the local New Orleans archdiocese in a sex abuse scandal involving priests in Louisiana, and in particular the New Orleans area.
Yep, the attempt at cover up and spinning
helping
the
with
positive
PR.
note. Yeah, that's not a good thing. Covering up stuff is egregious and horrible and should never happen.
Yeah, and of course the Bensons are devout Catholics, so that's why they had this connection.
But you do not cover that shit up.
And let's make something clear. This has happened all over the place.
It has, and it's disgusting, and I absolutely hate every bit of it.
Yeah, and the timing here couldn't be worse for New Orleans after the terrorist attack and now this. But back to Roger Goodell, who I will give you credit for this. I give you credit for a lot. Maybe not as much as I should, but I try. I do try. I'm not as bad as my daughter.
No, who's still waiting. Still waiting, Cass!
But you said 2 years ago at least, if not longer, if not at the beginning of this podcast, this extravaganza we created years ago, told me when I was trying to stick up for Roger Goodell.
Yes, we went back and forth many a time. You sticking up for him and me pushing as many needles into that voodoo doll that I could.
You were right. You were right. Because as the years have gone by, he hasn't made a single positive move, basically since the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's all been about social causes, DEI, and expanding the game everywhere and anywhere but here in America. So now we get a couple of headlines this week involving the great and the glorious Roger Goodell.
There's a reason he's booed everywhere he goes.
Continuing to push the game overseas. It was announced today, again, taping here on February the 5th, 2025, that the LA Rams will be the home team in a game in the 2026 regular season in Australia.
Why?
The logistics of this are going to become a nightmare. Between the unbelievable travel time to get to Australia.
You damn well better be picking another West Coast team to play them.
And you've got Jacksonville playing back-to-back games in the UK every year now.
Which is fucking ridiculous. Why give them the travel advantage?
Roger Goodell comes out this week and says, I don't care what the president says. I am going to push DEI in the NFL. And I got mad. And we're going to talk more about Yahoo later, but not in this context. But I had to email my morning sports newsletter, which I normally enjoy. They do a nice job. They do tend to spread things around to sports I could give two shits about, especially soccer. That's fine, I get it. But their lead story the other day was this. Roger Goodell supports DEI opposing Trump. And I had to email him and say, keep your fucking politics out of sports. You, Goodell, all of you, keep it out of our sports. We don't want it.
We don't care.
I might have called him a snowflake. I might have let that term slip. I did not curse. I did not swear. I put together a well-thought-out email, spending way too much time on it.
And ended it with, "You damn snowflake."
Not quite. No cursing. But I did say, your little snowflake heart might have been ecstatic about this announcement, but the rest of us want you to keep politics out of our sports. That's pretty close to what I said.
There you go.
And it's okay. It's all okay, because you know why? I couldn't believe this, by the way. Donald Trump is going to become the first sitting president ever to attend a Super Bowl?
I know. Isn't that amazing?
I wouldn't have
In
brought
all
this
these
up
years?
otherwise. I don't, I'm not trying to push politics into this, but this is just an amazing fact to me that a sitting president has never been to a Super Bowl. Donald Trump's going to be the first? How is that possible? It's the greatest sports extravaganza in America.
You would have thought if any president would have been the first, it would have been Ford, having played college football.
For Michigan, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I guess they do the sit-down interviews beforehand and they air them on the channel, the network that's covering the Super Bowl. But I never thought we'd never had a president
actually attend.
I'm like, wow, blows my mind. Blows my mind. All right, so we talked about Myles Garrett on the trade block. The Rams have also put Cooper Kupp on the trade market. I might have mentioned earlier.
Yep.
God forbid. Don't do it, Chicago. Don't do
it. He's an injury risk at this point. Not worth it.
I will give credit to Gio on Boomer and Gio for saying this. But he had a great line where he said, if Bill Belichick and Tom Brady were still around, the Patriots would have signed him in a second.
Yeah.
To continue the Wes Welker, Julian Edelman line of white slot receivers catching 120 balls a year.
Yeah, that about wraps it up.
I thought, yeah, good one, Gio. I can see that.
I can see that.
Yeah. The NFC, God, Dave, you're going to hate me. I have a confession to make. I actually watched an hour of the Pro Bowl games.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I was working on the internet, and there was nothing else on.
See, that is specifically why I chose this past Sunday to have to work.
Well, no, when you say you're working on off football Sundays, I completely get it. It's when you have to work the football Sundays where I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, completely understand. Because I had nothing, nowhere to go. And so I actually flipped on the TV and they were on, and I saw the newlywed game thing.
Oh God.
And
how well does a quarterback know his receiver?
So officially the NFC won the Pro Bowl 76-63.
Based on the combined flag football score and the competition
right,
stuff.
The flag football takes up most of it, but the NFC started off with a big lead because of the Skulls competitions and the game show and all that stuff. Ugh, whatever. Then finally, before Dave and I get into our analysis of Super Bowl licks, I just love saying that. Bless you, Gronk. Bless you for giving us that. Standing next to Carissa Thompson. He is a brilliant doofus, is what he is. He plays the doofus.
He knows his role.
But I think he's a very smart businessman.
Oh, he is. He's savvy as hell.
Because I think we talked about this a couple years ago.
He plays into the doofus mold.
I think we talked about this a couple years ago. He takes all the money from the endorsements. That's what he lives off of.
Yep.
He took all his salary and invested it and put it in savings and stocks.
Yep.
He's not an idiot.
But he plays one on TV.
And he'll never be a member of USAA.
No.
One coordinator position we forgot to mention for my Buccaneers, taking over for Liam Cohen, Duval. He did it again. Did you hear that? He should have stayed away from it. After the first time, he looked creepy. He did it again in another interview.
No.
Duval. Like Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, God.
You're waiting for him to say, I'm going to put the lotion in the basket. God, I can't believe. I'm happy in a way he's gone from the Bucs. Not happy because he did very well with Baker. But, wow.
But
he's creepy.
Cringeworthy.
So the new OC for the Buccaneers is Josh Grizzard, who was the passing game coordinator. Seems like a logical promotion.
Yeah, moves up.
And I've been trying to stay away from this. I saved it to the end. Oh, shit. Oh, what is it with massage therapists? Justin Tucker. Arguably the greatest kicker of all time. Is now gone down the Deshaun Watson path.
Yep, not a good look.
We are up to 10 massage therapists from multiple spas claiming sexual misconduct between the years of 2012 and 2016, including leaving spooge behind.
Oh, God.
I mean, you know, if somebody claims he brushed my thigh with his penis, that could be incidental contact. You might not throw the flag there. But if he's leaving some
remnants,
yes.
Not good.
He's leaving some Pearl Jam behind. There could be problems. And supposedly that happened multiple occasions. Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't understand these athletes with all the money in the world. Go fly to Vegas and go to the Chicken Ranch. What are you doing? What are you doing?
They're just following Robert Kraft's lead.
Now Robert Kraft is an old man. Leave him alone. He wanted to go have some fun. I don't have a problem with
parlor.
it.
Come on, what's that? No.
Yeah, but he was trying, from what I understand years ago, he was trying to clarify, you know, if I throw in an extra couple hundred.
Maybe that was the... We don't know the
Well,
details.
You're right, and this is why we don't normally delve into the massive, deep, dark details on these things. Because it could be
These are the reports. We don't know.
And I'll say this, at least Justin Tucker, his career is almost over. He's already established himself as one of the greatest kickers of all time. Deshaun Watson destroyed his entire career. Now, fortunately for him, the Cleveland Browns bailed him out and said,
he's done nothing but
you could be a complete degenerate. Let's give you $250 million guaranteed.
And, that's right, you don't even have to win a game.
Please, God, Cam Moore, don't go to Cleveland. Please, for the love of God, please don't do this to him. Myles Garrett wants out. Please don't do this to Cam Ward. Please. God, the Raiders, jump up. Brady, Carroll, trade up to get Cam. Please, I'm begging you. Don't subject Cam Ward to Cleveland. Don't do it.
Deserves to be subjected to Cleveland.
No. Basketball team's pretty good, though.
They are having a good year.
All right, so now it's time for Dave and I to break down Super Bowl licks. Super Bowl 59. Coming up this Sunday, February the 9th, 2025. A rematch from 2 years ago of the Chiefs and the Eagles.
Whoop-de-friggin' do.
All 8 of our panelists, our expert panelists, have their final picks in.
And it is split. 50-50.
Yep. Me, Dave, Sam, and Nick going with Kansas City. Bill, Jen, Doug, and Aaron going with Philadelphia. Now, we have our reasons for taking the Chiefs. Some of them rational, some of them
irrational. I am falling in line with the predominant color of the Super Bowl Licks logo, along with the referees.
I will explain one more reason why I'm taking the Chiefs at the end of the program. I don't want to spoil it now. But if you have to go so far, Roger Goodell, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, you have to go so far out of the way to deal with the issue of the referees, then there is something there. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And I'm telling you, there's something there. I have seen multiple people break down over the years.
All the no calls or the calls.
Including the last time these two teams met. The bullshit holding call on the Eagles, which pretty much handed the game to the Chiefs. Everybody seems to forget it until I saw it today.
Oh, yeah, that was an awful call.
The guy barely got his hand on the hip of the Chiefs receiver. In no way, shape, or form impeded him. Flag. Flag.
That's what you get. Or you get Mahomes getting all the time in the world to scramble for a first down while his guys are pulling the defenders backwards.
I don't see how you can't factor this in. And especially with now, I'm going to tie this all, I'm going to put a big bow on it. I'm going to tie this all, wrap it all back in with Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell wants Taylor Swift to be happy. Roger Goodell, by the way, I found this out today.
Goodell's dating Taylor's mother? Oh, wait, sorry. That's a rumor I started here.
No. They were talking about the odds for the Super Bowl MVP. And, of course, Mahomes is first, Barkley's second, Hurts is third. And I started looking at it. And, again, I'm not a betting man. I don't encourage betting. But I started to go, well, Xavier Worthy looked good for the odds. Fourth was Travis Kelce. And then the guys that on the show I was watching started discussing the Travis Kelce situation, him being fourth. A.J. Brown was one. I think he was sixth. I like the odds on him. I would put $5 down on Xavier Worthy. I'd put $5 down on A.J. Brown. I lose $10. That's fine. One of those two hits, I'm getting back a couple hundred.
Yep.
They start talking about Travis Kelce. 20% of the Super Bowl MVP vote is fans.
Oh, are you serious?
That I went completely...
Are you fucking kidding me?
The Swifties are going to be voting for Travis Kelce.
My God.
20% of the Super Bowl... And these guys...
That's not an insignificant amount.
No. And I, as a fan, you and I are fans. You and I played high school sports, and that's it. We did not play sports in college. But to let the fans dictate this stuff is getting ridiculous. I agree with the athletes, especially on this show I was watching, who said the fans should not be involved in this. And I agree 100%.
Because most of the fans are voting based on a popularity contest. They have no clue who actually would make an impact in the game.
Right. They're voting for a particular team, voting for a particular player.
Voting for one play versus the overall contribution of the game.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, oh, God. And then, of course, Again, Roger Goodell wants the Chiefs to win. I swear to God, he does. He wants the three-peat.
Yep.
By the way, the NFL has already cut a check to one Pat Riley.
To be able to use three-peat?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I have not seen the total amount of the check, but it's out there that they have paid Pat Riley already. And again,
in anticipation.
It's stupid as hell that you can't say three-peat or you can't say Super Bowl without paying the NFL or Pat Riley. How about I trademark fuck you? How about that? That's now the Maestro's trademark. Fuck you. Anytime you say fuck you, you owe me money. And I say to Pat Riley and the NFL, fuck you. Super Bowl 59, three-peat. How do you like me now, bitches? Oh, I'm getting warmed up. Don't even want to hear the weekend edition. I got tons of stuff.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy, kids.
So, outside of the conspiracy theories, I don't trust Jalen Hurts.
That's the big thing. His arm, sorry, I don't trust him to make the right decision.
You piss off A.J. Brown, he's going to check out. I don't think Devonta Smith is the greatest second receiver in the world. I think Xavier Worthy could have a huge game for the Chiefs with his speed. He tends to make huge plays. Everybody forgets all these secondary receivers the Chiefs have that were has-beens and casts-off. DeAndre Hopkins, Juju Smith-Schuster.
They'll do just enough.
Samaje Perine sitting there as their third running back behind Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. This team is deep. I'm talking about the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The first team, yes, the edge probably goes on the overall roster to the Eagles.
But when you go depth, it goes to the Chiefs.
I don't like Andy Reid. We're not going to get into that. He's better coach than Sirianni.
Yes.
Spagnuolo, it's a tough call between the two defensive coordinators.
That's almost a wash.
But I still like what Spagnuolo has done over the last few years more than Fangio. The same thing with the offensive coordinators. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to side with Matt Nagy?
we all know all he does
Andy
is
Reid's
implement the game plan.
Andy Reid's calling the plays.
Yes.
But Andy Reid versus Kellen Moore, it's a wash to me. But in the end, the Chiefs have the better quarterback.
And the deeper bench.
If you shut down Saquon Barkley,
the
Chiefs have better depth at running back. If you piss off A.J. Brown, I side with the Chiefs wide receivers.
Yep.
Even if you want to call the tight ends a wash between Goddard and Kelsey, which I think right now is fair.
It is a wash.
Kelsey is not that good anymore.
No, Father Time is catching up to him.
I think it's going to be a good Super Bowl. I think it's going to be within a field goal, but I will still take the Chiefs.
It's going to be that late field goal to put the Chiefs
And they have
up.
the better kicker, too.
They do.
I take Butker over Elliott. Now, Elliott, the numbers show he's great kicking field goals, but a guy who can't hit an extra point
worries me. That's going to come back to get you.
And then are the Eagles going to be chasing two-pointers? If that happens.
The Eagles can pull that off.
I just think the football gods hate me right now. They hate me. They have tortured me for the last couple years. They've given me hope and yanked it away. And that's what they're going to do here. I could care less who wins this, really, in the grand scheme of things. But I don't want the Chiefs to three-peat.
And it's going to happen. Exactly. So we should just resign ourselves to this fact right here, right now.
So again, recapping our expert
The die has been cast. It's been written in stone.
Dave and I, along with Sam and Nick, take the Chiefs. Bill, Jen, Doug, and Aaron take the Philadelphia Eagles. I hope I'm wrong.
Me too.
And I can't believe I'm rooting for Philadelphia. I hope I'm wrong. Crush all the hopes and dreams of all those pathetic Chiefs fans in favor of all the disgusting, nasty
Philly fans
who all have criminal records. Jesus God. Next to Raider fans, who are worse than Philly fans? Seriously.
It's hard.
You as a Dolphins fan know about Raiders fans. The stories I heard.
They are awful, awful, horrible fans.
Yep. All right. So, believe it or not, Dave's here. So, you're not going to get a 2.5-hour episode with me rambling on.
Incoherently.
We finished up with the NFL. We've got a little tiny bit of college football. And then we move right on to baseball, NASCAR, and wrap this sucker up in a very a friendly time frame for Dave and you. Yep. And maybe even me.
Yeah, maybe I can beat the winter weather advisory, the ice storm.
First alert weather day.
Ice storm 2025 rocking through our area tonight into tomorrow.
And that's the thing that sucks, being my age. I try my best to be young in my heart and in my soul, and I still click on the weather 15 times a day to look at the radar.
Okay, Grandpa.
Stop it! I don't want to, but I'm drawn to it.
Okay, Grandpa. It's no longer Uncle Kev, it's Grandpa Kev.
Get off my lawn! Get off my lawn!
All right, kicking off the NCAA football wrap-up stuff, previews into next year here on Spotify, Good Pods, Pocket Casts, Apple, Overcast, CastBox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby.
Otherwise known as, of course, iHeartRadio, and we love each and every one of our podcast platforms. And by the way, very happy that you're feeling better.
Definitely feeling better this week.
You got through that very easily as opposed to last week.
Where I was gasping.
Where you needed an iron lung. So the one big update we've got for college football this week is, of course, if you haven't figured it out by now, with all the hints, allegations, things left unsaid, yes, great album by Collective Soul that we drop here and there throughout the year. We record in northern Indiana, so Notre Dame is a big part of our purview when it comes to college sports. So the Notre Dame 2025 football schedule has been released in terms of opponents and locations. Times not yet.
Yep,
out
things
there
will vary.
I'll tell you what I think. Now, you guys know I'm not a Notre Dame fan.
Nope.
I went there, but I am not a fan. I am a Hurricanes fan.
So you have August 31st circled.
Yes.
Notre Dame travels to Miami to take on the Hurricanes at Hard Rock Stadium.
The great and glorious Carson Beck will start off his one-year Miami career with a defeat of the Fighting Irish.
Will his arm be healed up?
Goddamn, better well be. If not, then what the hell was the point? He's not playing in the spring game, but that's fine. I don't care about that.
He was okay for Georgia.
The whole thing with Miami is the defense. Get the defense fixed. Bringing in the guy from Minnesota, their new DC. If that works, they'll be fine. The Miami offense doesn't have to be lights out dynamic if the defense gets back to where they're supposed to be.
And
we won championships with Ken Dorsey and Gino Torretta, okay? The defense is supposed to be the hallmark of the Miami Hurricanes, and that's where Mario Cristobal failed last year. We have got to beat Notre Dame. Otherwise, I have already said, I'm on record, this is it. Make or break year for Mario Cristobal. If they do not get into the 12-team playoff, he should be fired. And I guarantee Michael Irvin will be right up his ass like a suppository, and I'll be right behind him if it doesn't happen. That is the first game on Notre Dame's schedule. Now, I will say this. Looking at this schedule, this is a hell of a lot tougher schedule than last year. Now, Notre Dame rode that schedule all the way to the national championship game. You tell me they're going to do it again this year.
This is interesting.
I see 4 losses.
Potentially.
I see 4 losses. Why don't you give the kids a taste?
Next, after the bye week, then Texas A&M comes to Notre Dame.
That could be a
loss.
loss.
As the second part of the home and home.
Could be a loss.
Potentially. Then hosting Purdue.
Oh, that's a loss. I just had
for
to.
Purdue.
I had to. There's no way in holy hell. That's a feast week for Notre Dame.
Yeah. Then they go down for the first time ever to play at Arkansas.
That's going to be a trap game.
It could be the trap game of the
I
season.
have a worse feeling about that game than the Texas A&M game. I think at home they beat A&M. Going down to Arkansas could be tricky.
Interesting.
Yes.
So then they host Boise State.
Loss.
That could be interesting. Then they host NC State. Then they host USC.
Loss.
Then they go to Boston College.
Loss.
Mr. Negative Nancy.
No,
here.
I'm screwing around here, but I seriously.
There's a couple of very tough games.
Okay, finish out the schedule.
Then they've got hosting Navy, going to Pittsburgh, hosting Syracuse, and then at Stanford.
No, Pittsburgh's at home.
Nope, at Pittsburgh.
Oh, this thing doesn't say at.
It's right there under where they're playing.
No, I know, but it doesn't say at there. I see what you're saying. I'm saying this whole site you're on that we're looking at does not list it properly. Where it says at Arkansas, at
it says
Boston
at
College.
Miami. Not everyone is listed at.
Right, it does not say at Pittsburgh.
No, so
even though you're right.
So the idiots at fightingirish.com
There you go.
completely screwed up.
I'm not apologizing. It's their fault. So Pittsburgh, Syracuse, at Stanford.
Yep.
Now, I am just poking fun with a lot of the losses
yes,
that I
know
said.
you are.
But I'm not kidding about 4 losses.
A&M is
I'm
going to
not
be
kidding
tough.
about 4 losses. I'm not.
They don't have a receiving core.
I'm overestimating a couple of these teams.
The defense could be a little dicey.
I'm overestimating some of the opponents. Syracuse, if they played Syracuse this year, they would not have been in the national championship game because they would have lost to Syracuse. And I'm not saying that because Miami did. Syracuse was damn good at the end of the year.
Yeah, at the end of the year.
And I think their quarterback coming out in the draft this year is going to be a sneaky good pick for somebody. I don't know what they're going to look like this year. I don't. They finished this past year in the top 25. That doesn't mean jack shit.
Yeah. That wasn't. Pittsburgh came out like a...
they started out really good.
on fire, and then they plummeted badly.
So who knows what Pittsburgh's going to be like.
USC should be better.
That's the thing. USC should be better, and Boston College... I just wonder... Is Bill O'Brien going to get better? You know, all the rumors about, okay, he came out, he got the Boston College program on its feet. They were okay, not great, but okay. Sometimes look good, sometimes look eh. Now, in another year, him in the system, he did not leave.
Nope, like we thought he was going to.
So, do they get better?
Or do they just maintain?
Or are they always going to be on the edge? These kids always going to be on the edge, not knowing if there's going to be stability in the program. So that could go either way. NC State's always a tough out, but Notre Dame should win that. Boise's
a tricky team.
Well, without Ashton Jonty, I wonder how good they're going to be next year. Again, that's one of the ones where I just said loss just to piss you off.
Yeah, but no, I like Boise State.
Yeah. Well, we all do. I think Boise
And-
State is the team we all look at as the ultimate underdog.
Yes.
Outside
that
of the Power
program you
Four.
like, but they go, great, and then back to, and then they'll go great, and then,
Yeah, so you got to think this year might be a down year for them. I'm telling you, the Arkansas game worries me. The Arkansas game worries me.
Arkansas is, you never know how they're going to come out.
But this is definitely a tougher schedule than this past year.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So you start off 0-1, and then after that, you're going to have to pick up the pieces. We need to start planning this game right now.
We'll spot you that one, and then we'll watch you fold.
Are we going to rent a banquet hall?
No, there's going to be no banquet hall.
We need to rent a banquet hall for this game, do a live podcast, get everybody out there. Get Jamie out there, even though he's mad at me right now. That's fine. Him and his wife hate me. That's good. We'll get them out there. I will be the sole and only Miami Hurricanes fan, and I will be fine with it.
He's used to it, kids.
I will leave.
He thrives in that environment.
I will leave a bloodied mess.
He will come in with his boombox playing the Scorpions.
Decked in orange and green. If I can find an ibis suit, I will wear it.
I'm sure they have one on the...
Yank my beak back and forth, even in public.
He's always yanking something.
Yep. All right, let's move on to baseball. Just a couple minutes on baseball. Still wrapping up free agency. Pete Alonso still unsigned. Alex Bregman, Cubs, still unsigned.
There was some rumor that he might wind up with the Sox. There's no way the White Sox are going to pay to get him.
Note the two names I just mentioned. Note the agent.
Yeah, Scott fucking Boras. Douchebag extraordinaire.
Those are the two big names left. Max Scherzer signs with the Blue Jays, 1 year.
Does
15.
he even have an arm?
Him and Verlander, I think what I read is they're bringing in these two guys to kind of tutor, mentor the younger pitchers.
That's all they can be at this point.
But yeah, Max Scherzer goes to the Blue Jays, an equivalent deal to what Verlander got.
I mean, my God, what the hell is Verlander doing still pitching during the warm months of the summer where he could be out in the backyard with his wife? Come on! Priorities, Justin.
Yeah, I know. Amazing to me. Kate Upton. Oh my God. One of the guys I wanted for the Cubs. I wanted a little bit of healthy competition in that bullpen for Ryan Presley for the closer role.
Right.
Carlos Estevez goes to the Royals. He will now become their primary closer.
Intriguing.
2 years, $22.2 million. That's about what I expected he would get. The Cubs could afford it. They could have afforded that. Kyle Finnegan's still out there.
Just saying.
Hae-Sung Kim, good infielder. Again, could have gone to the Cubs, played third base. Goes to the Tampa Bay Rays. 2 years, $29 million. And then a pitcher that I wouldn't have minded slipping into the Cubs rotation. Last good starting pitcher, in my opinion, on the market, Jack Flaherty. I love this because this tells me that these players, these teams can understand the business of baseball. Jack Flaherty was traded from the Tigers to the Dodgers. Flaherty got a ring with the Dodgers going back to Detroit. 2 years, $35 million.
There you go.
The Cubs did make one move, which I'm fine with, to solidify the bullpen even more. Right-handed relief pitcher, and cash from the LA Dodgers, Ryan Brazier.
They got cash back from somebody?
Supposedly, the story I read said they were getting cash, but in the future they have to give up either the cash back or the infamous player to be named later. But yeah, Ryan Brazier now is part of the bullpen for the Cubs. Supposedly they got a little money back from the Dodgers because he has a $4.5 million contract, which is a little steep. We'll see. So now, get the third baseman. Get Alex Bregman signed. You've got the goddamn money. You won't go over the tax threshold, you fucking cheap-ass idiots. Sign Bregman. Make the deal with the devil. Do it. Do it now. And then I will say unequivocally, if the Cubs sign Alex Bregman,
they should win the division.
They win the NL Central. Hands down. Not even close. But if they go cheap.
And you know they will, because that's what they do.
And we get a little prospect. We got a prospect. We're gonna put in third base. And you don't give Kyle Tucker any support, any kind of a backup guy in that, a protection guy in that lineup.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Oh, Ian Happ. Ian Happ. Every week now, for the rest of 2025, I will be doing the Horn of Disgrace for Ian Happ because I can't stand him.
Overrated. In Chicago.
Every time I see Anthony Santander hit a home run for the Toronto Blue Jays, knowing he gets paid less than Ian Happ, I will sound the Horn of Disgrace. Because I was telling Dave, I've been telling you kids, for 6 months, the Cubs need a big bat, a 40 home run guy in that lineup.
And they won't do it.
And the other guy that's out there, supposedly, for trade, the Cubs will not go after, who you and I have talked about for the last couple of years. Luis Arias again.
He's on the trading block again?
Three-time batting champion. Nobody wants him. Because the analytics geeks don't like batting champions.
Oh my God, that's so stupid.
I would kill to have him. Put PCA leadoff.
And then put him second, and you're moving him over, oh my God.
I don't understand why nobody likes this guy. The modern day Rod Carew, the modern day Tony Gwynn. Nobody wants him. Nobody wants him.
The analytics geeks are ruining everything. Just swing for the fences. Just swing for the fences. No.
Then finally in baseball, the big topic, I guess we could call it this week. Umpire Pat Hoberg officially fired for sharing a sports betting account with a buddy of his.
Yep. Never bet on baseball. Neither of them. They can't find anything where baseball was bet upon. But yet, still, because the betting app was shared, the integrity was compromised. There you go.
I will say this.
If they're letting players bet on other sports, but I can see umpires need to be held to a higher standard.
That's what I was going to say.
Umpires have to be held. Referees, they should not be allowed to bet, period, end of discussion.
Yeah, you've got to, and this is the problem you and I have discussed in the past with players, with coaches, with umpires, with everybody involved in sports. Your number one focus, you can say it should be on you and making money and providing for my family, which is laughable anymore.
Yeah.
But number one should be the integrity of the game. And we just ripped on Roger Goodell
because
for not
the NFL has no integrity.
He doesn't care about the integrity of the game. He doesn't care about the safety of the players. The Football Players Association, the NFLPA, came out here within the last 48 hours and said, we sure as hell do not want an 18th game.
No. There should be no 18th game.
They should have stopped at 16.
And been
16
done
was
with it.
fine. And keep the games here in America. America. But no, we're in Australia, we're in Germany, we're in Spain.
So you're hosing
Mexico
your
City.
fans here in the States the opportunity to see their teams.
I'm telling you, this is where we're going. We saw this. I can't believe I'm coming back to Taylor Swift again. We saw this with Taylor Swift, where people were flying to Europe to see Taylor Swift.
Because it was more affordable to fly, stay there, see the show, and come back than it is to see it here.
What does that say about us? What does that say about us?
This country is fucked.
Not anymore. Doge.
Yeah.
I'm kind of kidding. Kind of. All right, the NBA. I don't know if I want to talk about the NBA. Good Lord. The Magic are in a freaking free fall right now. 24-27. Remember when a couple months ago I thought this team was going to be contending for the East title?
And now they
are 1-9 in their last 10 games, and this is with Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner back. Their top two guys. Banchero is not healthy. I'm telling you that right now. He is not healthy.
Still playing hurt.
They rushed him back. He can't hit a shot to save his life. The team is suffering. Jalen Suggs, they rushed Jalen Suggs back. He played one game. He's hurt again. So he's played one game in the last month. You know, number 3, Mo Wagner tore his knee up. He's already out for the year. I don't know what to do with this team. I hope they don't trade anybody. I hope they don't make any trades. They just got to get healthy.
Yeah.
But, of course, that's not even close to the big news of the week as we approach the trade deadline, which I believe is February the 6th.
Yes. Yes, it is.
We got Jimmy Butler still out there.
Demanding to go to Phoenix. Won't go anywhere else. Jimmy.
And what Kevin Durant said, he doesn't want to go back to the Warriors.
Nope, he's done with that.
And we'll talk more about him later. But, of course, the big news over the weekend that caught everybody off guard was what many are saying is the most lopsided trade of all time. As the Dallas Mavericks trade Luka Doncic to the LA Lakers for Anthony Davis.
Why would they want to bring street clothes in?
Now, of course, there were a couple other little minor pieces involved here. Well, I've heard rationale on both sides. Luka supposedly won't keep himself in shape. He adamantly admits to going out drinking, smoking, not showing up at the gym when he's supposed to. The Mavericks have supposedly told him over and over again, get yourself in shape. If you want the Supermax deal you're eligible for, get yourself into the gym. And this is what I don't understand. If you're giving me $300 million, I'll go to the gym anytime you want me to.
No kidding. He cost himself a shit ton of money.
Because he can't get the Supermax
Because he's not eligible for the Supermax by going to LA. And he has to pay more in taxes being in fucking California.
And that's why Anthony Davis waived, there was a $6 million kicker on the trade. Yeah. And he waived it and said, nope, don't worry about it, because he's going to make more than that back not paying taxes in Texas.
Yes. So there you go.
Now, I will cry bullshit on the one part of this, where the Mavericks GM, and you can tell Mark Cuban's not in charge anymore. I don't think Mark Cuban would have ever let this deal go through. But where the GM is saying, we made this deal because defense wins championships.
Yeah, bullshit.
You traded a young, oft-injured, out-of-shape guy
When have
for
you
an
seen...
older, oft-injured guy. Yeah. He might be in better shape, but he's definitely injured.
Yeah. When in the last decade have you seen defense win a championship in the NBA?
Not since the Pistons. You got to go back 2.5 decades, 3 decades.
Exactly.
The Pistons were the last team that won with defense.
Yeah, so you are absolutely right calling bullshit on the Mavs GM.
No, they did not trust Luka enough to give him a supermax deal. And I understand that. I do. And the fans overreact as they are wont to do, bringing coffins to the stadium, saying it's the death of the franchise. Oh, he just got us to the NBA Finals last year. I don't think it's as bad of a trade as everybody else does. I'll be very interested to see what the Lakers do now with no big in the middle.
Yeah.
And 2 ball hogs on the outside. An egomaniac and a guy who doesn't keep himself in shape.
Yep, how are they going to coexist?
Now, do I believe, again, the bullshit about the defense winning championships? No. The Mavericks are shot. They're done.
Yep, it's time for them to go to a rebuild mode.
That's what I was going to say, too. I've heard people saying, oh, they'll be contenders. No, they're not.
No.
They're done.
This is rebuild mode.
They're going to have to figure out a way to start rebuilding this team from scratch.
Yep. Alas.
Now, the other big trade, again, we're not to the trade deadline yet. Dave and I will cover the rest of that next week. The Bulls finally traded Zach LaVine. In a 3-way deal, Zach LaVine goes from the Bulls to the Kings. De'Aaron Fox goes from the Kings to the Spurs, and the Bulls get what?
Their
a draft
2025 first-round pick
that they traded away. Yeah, they got it back.
Really?
Oh, what is it with Chicago sports?
The GMs are fucking morons.
Is it something in the water? What is it?
Karnishitz, whatever the hell his name is no better than Gar Forman and John Paxton.
So the Bulls are basically in tankathon mode now.
They're in basketball hell. And they have been, and they will continue to be.
I don't get it. I'm sorry. But that's the way the NBA rolls. Oh, and by the way, going back to the Dallas deal for a second, not only did they have the coffins out, Dallas actually reached out to a select group of fans.
Offering refunds?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some serious fallout.
Oh, and did you see the pictures of the press conference, by the way? When
No.
the Lakers introduced Luka? You've got J.J. Redick, you've got Luka, and then you've got the general manager of the Lakers, Rob Pelinka.
Yeah.
Rob Pelinka looks like a fucking clone of Rob Lowe.
Really?
Oh my God. You're going to have to look this up. You kids out there, look this up. Rob Pelinka looks like a clone of Rob Lowe. I halfway expected John Parr's St. Elmo's Fire to start playing over the press conference. And everybody's geeking out going back to the other trade about De'Aaron Fox going to the Spurs.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that later. Now, I didn't want to do this because it was out of his control. This is not a dumbass, but this is one of those very funny, ironic stories. Now, the Pistons are having a great year. They finally figured it out. After years of sucking beyond all belief, Cade Cunningham now a legitimate superstar. Pistons are actually above 500, playing well. And remember they had Monty, was it Monty Williams?
Yeah, they brought in and let go
Fired
right
him
away.
after 1 year, still getting paid
Yeah.
shit tons of money. Looks like they might have made the right move. I can't believe it. I thought Monty was an unbelievable head coach, but
yeah, but not the right fit with that team. It happens.
So their center, the Pistons center, Isaiah Stewart. This happens too, okay? It's just odd timing. Pistons center Isaiah Stewart.
Got caught in a massage parlor?
No, that was Justin Tucker. We're done with that. Is that going to be your answer to everything now? Is that going to be Dave's? Every week Dave's going to say, got caught in a massage parlor?
Maybe.
Left some spooge on the bench? Pistons center Isaiah Stewart suspended for 1 game because he reached the limit for flagrant fouls. He got his
yes.
He got his 6th flagrant foul of the year, which by the NBA rules,
automatic 1-game suspension.
So he had to sit out the night where they were giving away his bobblehead.
See, now what should have been just punishment is he should have been at one of the gates handing his bobblehead out to the fans as they came in. That would have been awesome.
But again, I couldn't put that in the dumbass because that's just bad timing.
It's just horrible timing.
But it's funnier than hell. It is funnier than hell.
The Pistons missed a golden opportunity there because he could have been there handing them out as he signs them.
That would have been a cool move.
That would have been the thing to do. You can't see him play on his bobblehead night, but select fans will get an autograph
with him, holding the bobblehead with him. Yeah, that would have been a great PR move. You're absolutely right. Again,
why do we have to run everything?
Absolutely. And then finally in basketball, in pro basketball, Dave and I love to hearken back to the old days. Dave and I admire our own ingenuity. We toot our own horns. Most likely in private, but we love what we created. We love this. We love Sports Frenzy. We love the original incarnation, going back to the cable access days.
Good times.
And one of the segments we had back in the old days was Frenzy 5-0. And I think for
it was
this week,
crime blotter.
We need to bring it back. For this week. Maybe it's an occasional thing.
Yes.
But
I
this
think
week,
it needs to be.
I think we bring back Frenzy 5-0 for this little nugget to wrap up the NBA news. Now, you guys know I've ripped on Andy Reid for what he did with his son. But there's a very different set of circumstances there. His son was working for him. He supervised his son. He let him drink and get drunk on Kansas City Chiefs property and then drive home. So I'm not saying every father, every celebrity, every star athlete father is to be held accountable for the actions of their children. Sometimes
there's circumstances.
Right. In this case, I don't think we can hold Michael Jordan accountable, but his son, Marcus Jordan,
what a dumbass,
arrested down in Florida for possession of cocaine, resisting arrest, and DUI with property damage or injury. This is not his first brush with the law, but this is by far the worst. And he, of course, was a few years ago dating Scottie Pippen's ex-wife.
Larissa. Dating, that's a nice way to phrase it.
Yeah, I saw a picture of the two of them. Wow. Yeah, she looks like a handful. A couple handfuls, let me tell you. Wow. All right, so college. Let's move on to college basketball real quick. Florida State. Believe it or not, one of the greatest head coaches in ACC basketball history, based on wins. Florida State's Leonard Hamilton is calling it quits. He will be done at the end of this year. And they are still right now on the bubble, could make the tournament.
Potential there.
Well, I've been ripping on the Miami Hurricanes all year long. Jim Larinaga left. Couldn't deal with the NIL. But they finally found a team they could beat. They finally found a team they could beat.
Who did they beat?
February the 1st, 2025, a date that will go down in infamy. The Miami Hurricanes beat the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
For their 5th win of the season.
Yes, Miami, with a pathetic 5-17 record, somehow beat Notre Dame 63-57, which should be a black mark, a scarlet letter
on Shrewsbury's resume.
Oh my God! How do you let Miami beat you?
Because Notre Dame basketball, the men's program still sucks.
They are now 10-12.
Neither program is in good shape.
No, teams that are in good shape. Number 1, Auburn, still number 1, having a fantastic year. Friday night is going to be college basketball hell for me. College basketball hell. Friday night, national TV on Fox. St. John's, coached by one Rick Pitino, and they are closing in on being a top 10 team in the country right now. They will be hosted by UConn.
And the despicable Dan Hurley.
So you're getting Hurley versus Pitino.
Oh my God.
If it wasn't for the fans, could we just firebomb the arena?
No shit. God.
I guess I should be happy that St. John's is better than UConn, but then again, I'm not.
I know.
But they're both in the top 20, so it's basketball hell.
It is, and I've been a fan of the men's UConn program.
And I know
going back, but Hurley is such a despicable human being on the bench. I mean, I just can't stand his antics. The egomaniacal bullshit.
I don't know what it would be like to play for him.
He is a douche.
Everybody, the referees, and he's so arrogant about it.
He is not a likable person.
He won't apologize for his behavior.
No, he's an egomaniacal douchebag.
And then we all know about how we feel about Pitino.
Satan himself.
How everybody wipes out his past indiscretions now, and everybody in New York loves him. Because, of course, New York fans
don't care.
Yeah. All you need to do is win. You could basically rape a nun, and that's fine as long as you win. Or bend a waitress over a table and impregnate her and pay her off. Oh! Sorry.
That actually happened.
You want to tell the kids about the Blackhawks?
Yeah, they're still sitting at 37 points. They've lost a couple. 16-31-5 at 52 games, but they're still 1 point better than San Jose. They still suck. Now, other NHL news. The NHL Players Association has decided to join the AFL-CIO Sports Union along with the NFL, WNBA, MLS, and National Women's Soccer League.
Great.
Yeah, yay.
Unions. More unions. That's what we need in sports. Now, following up on a last week's story, the Utah Hockey Club, even though that's not really going to be their official name yet. Remember we told you about they had
They couldn't have the Yeti.
Right, so they had the 3 names that they were going to put before the fans for a vote. And then we all kind of, Dave and I talked about it last week, and we all kind of went, Wasatch? What the hell, Wasatch? Well, I think the idiots in the PR department figured out in Utah that nobody likes Wasatch, so they said, yeah, we're getting rid of that, and we're putting Outlaws out there. So Outlaws is now...
There you go! The Utah Outlaws. I don't hate it.
But you know why they didn't want to put that out there originally?
Because of American Primeval?
Because it's a bad connotation. Do we really want people to associate our team with hooligans and people breaking the law? You don't understand. We love great villains.
Yes, come on.
Buccaneers necessarily isn't a great look. That's pirates.
The Raiders?
Right. There's nothing wrong with being villainous, having a darker side to your team.
Come on, embrace it.
I'm past Mammoth now.
Bring on the Utah Outlaws.
Utah Outlaws, baby. I'll buy a shirt. If that wins, I will buy a shirt.
There you go.
If the logo looks cool.
Yeah, they got to get the logo right.
You got to have a guy with a black mask over the bottom of his face with the cowboy hat.
Or a burlap sack with the eyes cut.
Oh, no. You are obsessed with American Primeval.
Just throwing the history out there.
No, you need the black hat with the black mask.
Bandana, yes.
Or even the red bandana covering the bottom half of the face. That's the classic outlaw look.
There you go.
All right, before we move on to NASCAR, because this is a big week for NASCAR, we're going to give you our Daytona 500 picks a little early because of the way that qualifying and all that good stuff falls and happens. We're going to recap the clash at Bowman Gray Stadium. No.
It was mildly entertaining. Mildly.
Little bit of media news, and I do have a Clint Eastwood Badass of the Week. Media news first. I don't know how important this is.
It's not.
ESPN picks up their option where they will carry ACC Sports for another decade.
Okay.
So ESPN will have ACC Sports, including the ACC Network, through 2036.
Meh.
Then, of course, you and I railed on the death of Venue Sports and that whole bullshit where basically Disney made a power play to crush their competition.
Yep.
And what was it, Fubo? They basically end up buying Fubo.
Yeah. And then shut everything else down.
Well, Fox says now, in the wake of the death of Venue Sports, they will now start, by the end of the year, their own sports and news standalone streaming service.
Just be done with the bullshit.
Well, all I'm saying is, if this gets me out of YouTube TV, because these pricks keep jumping the rates
They're going
up.
to have the same damn price structure.
Yeah, but I can get CBS Sports through Paramount Plus. I can get NBC Sports through Peacock. I can get ESPN through Disney and Hulu. If I can get Fox Sports and it ends up costing me less,
well, there you go.
that's what I'm looking for here. So, I'm just saying, I want to see what this has. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
I want my options. I want my choices. And then my Clint Eastwood Badass of the Week is one John Calipari. Now, in the world of college basketball coaches, pretty much all of them suck. You know the one guy, by the way, I don't know if I've mentioned this to you, the one guy out of the last 15, 20 years who I always respected, Jay Wright. Jay Wright at Villanova never had any problem. He always wore a suit. He always wore a suit. He always was classy. He never had problems.
A clean group.
Well, he did. He quit.
Yeah.
He quit like Larinaga did because he hated the nil shit.
Yeah, but he always had that class program.
All the rest of them, from Hurley and Krzyzewski, all of them had some dirt. Of course, Pitino.
The worst of the worst.
Even Calipari. But now Calipari wasn't off the court. It was more of the... Maybe he was a little shady when it came to recruiting.
Yeah.
And he would jump from school to school and maybe leave some...
Kelvin Sampson.
He was never as bad as Kelvin Sampson.
No, Kelvin Sampson is just a scourge.
Yep. But, of course, John Calipari left Kentucky, even though he brought them... Didn't he bring them a national championship? One.
Yeah.
Left Kentucky last year. Said, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't blame him. The pressure at Kentucky's ridiculous.
It's insane.
So he goes from Kentucky to Arkansas. Well, of course, he stayed in the SEC. So eventually he knew this would happen. Arkansas, on February the 1st, came into Rupp Arena to play number 12 Kentucky. And guess what happened? They booed him at Rupp Arena.
Arkansas wins.
Arkansas won 89-79.
There you go.
So John Calipari could walk out of that game saying, fuck you for booing me, fuck you not giving me any credit for what I did for you. And even Rick Pitino, as he was bending a waitress over, doing a remote with a microphone in his face, and of course a waitress's tits in his face, said, Kentucky needs to acknowledge what he did for them and not boo him. So
there you go.
This is what happens if you do not give credit to people who might have left, who might have bailed on you.
But who bailed on who first?
Give them the appropriate credit for what they did for your team.
Yep. Because Kentucky drove him out.
Breaking news here on the podcast.
Holy crap. Jimmy Butler has been traded to the Golden State Warriors.
Yep, breaking news as we're taping here on Wednesday night, February the 5th. We love it when this happens during the show because at least we can get you the news and don't have to wait a week to discuss it.
Yeah, this one, and Butler agreed to a 2-year, $121 million extension with Golden State. Multi-team trade. Andrew Wiggins, P.J. Tucker via the Jazz, and a protected first-round pick go to Miami. Dennis Schroeder goes from the Warriors to Utah, and Golden State's Kyle Anderson is going to Toronto. It also includes the Pistons with the Warriors' Lindy Waters III and the Heat's Josh Richardson heading to Detroit. Good God!
These GMs, I tell you what, they earn their money. They earn their money because I can't make heads or tails out of any of that. But this has got to, I think what you take out of this is the last gasp try for the Warriors.
Yeah.
This has got to be it.
This is their final
Curry,
run.
Draymond Green, and Steve Kerr. This is it. This is it. You've given up on Andrew Wiggins now. You thought he was going to be that third piece. You've shipped out Klay Thompson.
And
this is it.
The 2-year extension, it's probably the right amount of time for Butler to be with the team. Because once he hits year 3, he starts to lose interest. Year 4, he's kind of a malcontent. So it's a history with him.
very interesting what's going on in the West. Now you've got Luka Doncic with the Lakers. Now you've got Jimmy Butler with the Warriors. Very interesting how you've got this arms race going on in the West. Whereas the East, I mean, Andrew Wiggins will help the Heat. I don't think it makes them a championship
contender. It doesn't push them
contender.
over at this point.
No, right now in the East, it's still the Cavs and the Knicks and the Celtics, and I think that's it.
Yeah,
those
it's
three
a three-horse race.
Hopefully, next week, we'll have some more big NBA news for you. Kevin Durant, of course, said he did not want to go back to the Warriors, which I want to discuss a little bit more later on. But he now is the one big piece floating around out there that somebody could grab if they want to.
Yeah. We'll see if anybody wants him.
So again, thanks for letting us break in here with this up-to-the-minute news. If you wake up early Thursday, we might actually beat the major sports outlets to this.
Potentially.
If you care about us more than you care about ESPN, which you should. We've beaten Shams, their new NBA insider.
There you go.
But now we get to the meat and potatoes. With football ending the heart of sports frenzy 2.0 for the next 3 or 4 months will be NASCAR.
Yep, because that's all we're going to have outside of March Madness.
Yeah. Notice how we're not discussing baseball.
We did briefly, so.
Yeah, but I'm talking about...
Oh, long term, yeah.
Because we all know where that's going.
In the crapper.
Yep. But we had the clash at Bowman Gray Stadium this past Sunday. We've got the Daytona 500 coming up a week from Sunday, February the 16th. We have our picks in, 7 of our 8 panelists with their picks in. But we've got a lot of news to discuss here in and around NASCAR. And, of course, we've got a last-minute fucking change in the points and the rules, which I have to bounce off my brother from another mother and see if we have to add this to our Frenzy Cup competition, because NASCAR waits until the last fucking minute to decide on rule changes.
Because they suck! That is why there's a lawsuit against them.
That, of course, being from 2 of their teams.
Yep.
They're very, very prominent teams. Front Row and 2311. But, all right, let's start with the clash. Your initial reaction did not seem positive for the clash.
I did not like the fact that there was no pass for the lead at all.
Now, see, I'll dispute that.
Back of the pack racing was better. But
Hamlin and Elliott, for a time, were going back and forth.
They were a little bit, but it still wasn't what it should have been.
And Ryan Blaney came from 23rd to 2nd.
I said the back of the pack was better.
2nd is not back of the pack.
He came from the back up.
Oh, I will dispute you on this. You and I are going to go toe-to-toe on this.
I didn't watch the entire thing because the first 50 laps bored the shit out of me.
Blaney coming from 23rd to 2nd proves that it worked.
Maybe I should have stuck with it, but I got bored. I didn't care.
It was a hell of a lot better than the previous years at the Coliseum.
And that's what jaded me. Is, oh shit, here we go again.
Which
is why I bailed out.
A smaller crowd, but a more passionate crowd. You didn't have the bullshit California fans showing up at the last minute. These fans were there from the start. They flipped off.
I love the venue.
They flipped off Ricky Stenhouse Jr. basically as one when he wrecked out one of their local favorites.
That's all right.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I just was not impressed with the opening laps.
It ended up being a very good clash.
Okay.
It kept my attention from beginning to end. Now, the thing that, if you looked at it as you did, didn't watch the whole thing, took a cursory look at it, checked in once in a while, I can understand. Because Chase Elliott was on the pole, and Chase Elliott won. But Hamlin was up there for a while, took over the lead.
All right, there we go.
Blaney went from last to second. It was not bad. I will say that. It was not bad.
So, I do like the venue.
And they're talking
There's a lot
about
of history there.
They're talking about bringing it back next year. Because it seems like even the idiots in charge of NASCAR right now realize
grassroots racing.
Yeah. It seems like the two most popular races they've had now over the last year or so have been the Clash at Bowman Gray, and North Wilkesboro.
Gee, go figure.
Yep. And of course, Chase Elliott got the first ever Bobby Allison Memorial Trophy, which of course pales in comparison to the Rick Shaggy Brooks Memorial Trophy.
But we digress.
And then, of course, a lot of people were pointing out the fact that poor Denny Hamlin, even though, again, he had a good run, finished third, I think, behind Ryan Blaney, if I'm not mistaken. This is the problem with NASCAR. Without the sponsorships that they're used to, the full-time heavy hitter sponsorships, Denny Hamlin's hauler, just white.
Oof.
No sponsor on it whatsoever. No FedEx anymore. Just was sad. Was sad.
That's not good. That's not a good look.
No. I think he had great clips on the car. But yeah, his hauler was almost just dead white.
Ouch.
Now, HBO Max, if you have it, supposedly for the regular season starting in Daytona, you will be able to access Driver Cam, where you'll be able to pick a featured driver and see what's happening from the front of his car.
Oh, the front of the car.
Yes.
Ah.
So that could be fun and interesting.
That could be wild at a few of these tracks.
Yes. You will not be able to access
everybody.
Obviously, well, and you won't be able to access the full race footage unless it's on TNT.
Yeah. You'll just get that.
Yeah, those particular cars and their viewpoint, and that's it. Otherwise, you'd have to jump to Fox or Amazon or NBC, depending on who's got it.
Yeah.
The IROC return coming up at Laguna Seca, August 13th through the 16th. We have got...
That's very intriguing. I like the starting track for it. Make them run the corkscrew.
And of course, this is supposed to mollify those of us who are mad because they took away
the SRX.
The SRX series. So your initial lineup for this race, I have not seen a specific day.
Ray Evernham.
Again, it's Laguna Seca. They have not said what day the race will happen on that weekend, but your lineup so far for this IROC race will feature Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Bobby Labonte, Bill Elliott, Ken Schrader, Danny Sullivan, and Scott Pruitt. That's who they've got listed so far.
Okay, 2 open wheelers.
Yeah, again, this is just SRX. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not what it was.
But again, I'm with you. Laguna Seca, nice track. Nice track.
I like it.
I wish NASCAR would run Laguna Seca.
No kidding.
Now, we're kind of tired.
And I would like them to, if you want a California road course, run Laguna Seca and get out of Sonoma.
Mix it up. I'm with you on that.
Mix it up.
110%. I'm with you on that. You know that. NASCAR continues to copycat other sports. Because, of course, we know that this year we are getting the in-season tournaments.
Stupid. fucking
Is your eye twitching, Dave?
Yes.
Oh, but
Fucking
we're
NBA.
not done there yet. Not done with the copycat yet.
Oh, God.
If you recall, a few months ago, actually, it's gone back probably a year. Remember we talked about how Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy were getting all this extra money from the PGA Tour for being ambassadors?
Oh, God. We are not doing NASCAR ambassador bullshit.
Starting in 2025, the Driver Ambassador Program.
Oh, Jesus, God. NASCAR is done. That's jumping the fucking shark.
If you go above and beyond your required media obligations, you will earn points. And whoever has the most points at the end of the year will earn the biggest chunk of a pot that has been set aside, a pot of money.
Dumb beyond belief.
Supposedly Chase Elliott and Bubba Wallace are already way out in front because they took a full day to hang out at Barstool Sports. Supposedly, here's the other thing that sucks about it.
So damn dumb.
Supposedly, there is a metric involving popularity. So somebody like a Ryan Preece could go above and beyond and do everything and anything.
And he's still going to fall behind
Chase Elliott's going to have more popularity points. I think you need to clean out the spitter.
Yes, I think so.
But yeah, let's copy the NBA with the in-season tournament, and now let's copy the PGA.
Oh my God.
With this ambassador program.
NASCAR's marketing has gone to shit.
Because
they are so bad.
They can't come up with their own ideas.
They are, and then they're throwing everything. It's pathetic.
Hoping it sticks to the wall.
It's absolutely pathetic.
We're not done yet, Dave. Dave and I have to run all of the Sports Frenzy competitions among the 8 expert panelists we have. And we try not to change the rules. But if we have to, we do. We put it up for a vote. Sometimes we get some pushback. Sometimes we get somebody who wants to add pickleball.
Or horse racing.
But now, of course, NASCAR decides to throw in a little curveball here a couple weeks before the Daytona 500. So now, in an open forum, in front of all of our fans, I'm going to bounce this off of you, because we've been trying here to stay as close as possible when it comes to the points.
Yes.
As the NASCAR drivers get.
Right.
Well, it just came out the other day. NASCAR has decided to add the Xfinity fastest lap of the race. If you are clocked as having the fastest lap in the race, you will get 1 driver point and 1 owner point every Cup race through the first 26 races.
That's dumb.
I don't know if it's going to extend to the playoffs or not, but remember, they used to give a point for halfway. That was the most random bullshit ever. If you lead the halfway lap, you used to get a point, right?
That was bad.
So this is...
But now, when you used to get a point for leading the most laps...
That made more sense. And I thought you should have got more than 1 point.
Right. Yeah.
If you dominated a race and you got wrecked out at the end...
You got a point for leading a lap.
Which is fine.
And you got an extra point for leading the most.
You should have got 5 for leading the most. That's me. You dominate a race, you get wrecked out at the end.
You also had a very strict point system.
Right.
Back in the day, too.
Right.
None of these stage points or any of this other crap.
So now, in order to keep us in line with NASCAR, I'm going to have to email everybody, right?
We're going to have to add this in. If your driver gets the fast lap, you get an extra point.
I don't see how... It's not going to affect who I pick.
No. It's just one extra bullshit bookkeeping thing we have to track.
Thanks, NASCAR.
Jackasses.
Love you, mean it. And that takes us to our picks for the Daytona 500. Again, this is a different schedule than all the other races. That's why we're picking early, is because when we do this next Wednesday night, practice will already be done and qualifying will already be underway. So you might get the
we are
pro
recording
qualifier
this the night before the duels.
next week. Right. But while we're recording next week, pole qualifying
will be taking
could
place.
Technically almost be done.
Yeah.
It'll be happening while we're recording. We might be able to, by the end of the podcast,
let you know who's on the front row.
Yep. So that's why we have to do this week. As I said before, 7 of our 8 panelists with their picks in. We have 2 panelists who picked the same driver. The rest of us are different. And that would, of course, be you and Bill. You two.
Bill and I both going with Alex Bowman. Hoping that maybe his season will start off well.
I am taking Joey Logano. I know that's probably a bad pick because the defending champion, what are the odds he's going to come out of the gates the following year and win the race? I liked what I saw from his team at Bowman Gray. I think they finished 4th behind Hamlin. They ran a steady, nice race. I know, different type of track. I get it. I know. But I just was looking for positive steps forward at the beginning of the year. I could have gone with Blaney, but year in and year out, I look back at who I've picked, and I always come up short on Logano. For some reason, I don't trust him. I can't find the track where I trust him enough to pick him. So I never pick him to our max 3 times over the first 26 races. So I said, let's do it this year.
Let's start off.
He's actually got a better record over the past few years at Daytona than Ryan Blaney, who was really the guy I wanted to take. I can find other places for Ryan Blaney.
Yes. Logano's a little tougher.
That's why my logic, all I want, give me 30 points. That's all I want. That's all I want. I don't want the pole. I don't want second because I want my guy to run the duels and get those bonus points.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. That. Another ridiculous little nuance with NASCAR.
NASCAR had to throw in there.
Is you don't get points for the pole or for second, but if you run the duels
and you win one of those,
you get bonus points that count towards the season. So anyway, I'm taking Joey Logano. I'm taking Sliced Bread, the 2-time champion. Sam is taking Kyle Busch. I don't know why you would take Kyle Busch.
He never finishes.
And he looked awful. He looked awful at Bowman Gray.
Oh, my God.
He gets wrecked out again. His career
a shell of himself.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to write him off, but I'm writing him off. I think his career is over.
Yeah.
As great as it's been.
He's done.
He's about 1 year away from becoming the current Jimmy Johnson, Bobby Labonte,
Yeah.
He's got to bow out gracefully like a Mark Martin or a Rusty Wallace or a Jeff Gordon. Get out with some dignity.
Yeah.
Martin Truex. Get out with some dignity.
Yeah. He's losing it quickly. So Jen is going with William Byron. Doug taking Brad Keselowski.
Not a bad pick. I like that pick.
And then Aaron going with Christopher Bell.
Wouldn't burn him at Daytona.
Not at Daytona.
No, I like Keselowski.
Keselowski is a good pick there.
Yep. And Byron, I believe, is a defending champion, right?
I think he is.
So, and obviously, with Daytona, there are drivers out there. Denny Hamlin would be a great pick, but I'm not burning Denny Hamlin on a random super speedway race.
No. Yes, he's had success there, but he's also been caught up in a lot of crap, and you can get more points out of him later on down the road. With
I'm not going to cry if I get a DNF out of Logano for burning Logano.
Yeah.
That's how I'm looking at this. All right, we move on to moments of silence. And of course, bizarre week, terrible week. As we were recording our podcast last Wednesday night, of course, the awful, tragic helicopter and plane crash in Washington, D.C. 67 people killed. As it pertains to sports, there were a handful of people that were involved in U.S. figure skating on that plane. But overall,
just a tragic situation.
Yes, our thoughts and prayers to everybody involved. And unfortunately, staying with figure skating, one of the few names I would ever be able to know or remember from figure skating is Dick Button. Dick Button was a gold medalist. Again, tied into Olympic figure skating. He passed away. So, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm mocking, but just an awful, awful week for U.S. figure skating.
Yeah.
Just a terrible week. Even though it's a sport we don't really cover.
No, but still, thoughts and prayers to all the family and friends of those lost.
Locally, and again, if you haven't figured it out, we're up in northern Indiana, here at the Sports Frenzy Studios. A legend in Notre Dame basketball, John Shumate, passed away. And even though I will rip on the football program every day, every chance I get, I've actually kind of followed the basketball program. So all the legends of Notre Dame basketball, Austin Carr, John Shumate, Kelly Trapuco, Orlando Woolridge, Tracy Jackson, I love all those guys. David Rivers, I love them all. So when it comes to Notre Dame basketball, my heart does go out.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers to his family and friends.
And then finally, how do I put this? I'm going to try not to disparage the dead by comparing them to the idiotic living. But given who our current baseball commissioner is, and how Rob Manfred can't figure out how to run the sport, I don't remember Fay Vincent being the greatest commissioner ever. But
he wasn't the greatest, but most notable probably for the strike year, where he squared off with, was it Furman? No. Who was the...
Yeah, I can't remember. Now, was Fay Vincent, who was the one that banned Pete Rose? Well, that was Bart Giamatti, right? Wasn't that Bart Giamatti? Who...
Oh, God, I don't remember.
But this should tell you how little, and I'm not trying to, again, disparage the legacy of Fay Vincent, but we remember Bud Selig for allowing steroids.
Yes. That the most egregious. Yep, Bart Giamatti was the commissioner in '89 who banned Pete Rose.
Okay. So these are the things. What Peter Uberoth, he was the commissioner for a while, but I don't remember specifically what they did outside of Giamatti banning Pete Rose. So I don't really know what Fay Vincent did. I think he was the next one in line, and he kind of upheld the Pete Rose suspension, and people gave him a hard time for that.
Yeah.
But there you go, kids. There are your moments of silence here in the world of sports. And so, of course, as we wrap this up,
we pivot to our dumbasses.
The Red Foreman Dumbasses of the Week. Now, I have got a handful.
We've already gone longer than you promised the kids, so.
We'll run through these very quickly. We'll start off. I'll try to group them together by sport. How about
there
that?
we go.
All right, let's start off with NBA.
Group qualifying.
NBA dumbasses. There you go. NBA dumbasses. Let's start off with those. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, who has made multiple appearances in this segment, saying that we should come more in line with the international game again. And we should shave the game down to 10-minute quarters. Because that would put us in line with the international game.
Yeah, well, guess what? You're going to skew the records completely.
That is obviously the number one complaint.
My God.
You're going to destroy the record You're going to destroy the record books. And
you're setting them permanent.
And again, you're letting the players dictate. These namby-pamby snowflakes.
The little pampered bitches.
I guarantee they're not taking less money.
No.
For playing less time, are they? Play 8 less minutes a game. You think they're taking less money?
Oh, hell no.
And why, as the NBA, the number one preeminent league in the world, are you letting everybody else dictate the rules to you? Tell the internationals, why don't you play 48 minutes?
Step it up.
Why don't you play 48 minutes? Be little men.
You're also the only timed sport that doesn't go a full 60 minutes.
There you go. Then, of course, we go to one, Kevin Durant, who we just mentioned is on the trade block.
Yeah, little.
But after the big Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis trade, Kevin Durant comes out and says, teams aren't held to the same loyalty expectations as the players.
Oh, yeah, right. Like players are loyal at all.
Yeah, we're talking about Kevin Durant, who might end up getting shipped off to his 5th team here this week.
Malcontent.
Not to mention the fact he destroyed, along with James Harden and Ben Simmons single-handedly, the Brooklyn Nets franchise, and did not do much to help the Phoenix Suns, the team that he's currently with, who want to get him out of town as quickly as possible.
Because he's useless.
And this is the thing. This current crop of NBA superstars.
They are the biggest pansies when it comes to actually playing.
I'm sorry, you can accuse me of living in the past, but when you had Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas,
Barkley,
the guys that Elijah Ewing, the guys that cared.
They played through how many countless injuries?
Even if you want to carry it through to Shaq and Kobe, these pampered assholes, Durant, LeBron, they all suck. They can suck my left nut. That's how much I hate them and how much they have damaged and destroyed the game of basketball. And then he's got the balls to come out and say, the teams, they don't have to be loyal like the players. Who the fuck ever said you were loyal, Durant? Who? You got 2 titles because you are a mercenary and you latched on to Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson.
Yep, pretty much sums it up.
You failed in Oklahoma City. You failed with Brooklyn. You failed with Phoenix. At least LeBron can say everywhere he's gone, he's won. He might have had to assemble a bunch of other mercenaries around him, but at least he won.
Got it. Yeah.
Sorry, I can't stand the NBA athlete, the modern NBA athlete. Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, can't stand them. All right, golf. Now, golf, I hold to a higher standard. There's etiquette. There's things involved. Dress codes, things like that.
Yeah. sportsmanship.
I've always said I hate the fans.
Bubba Booey, get in the hole.
But the golfers need to be held accountable as well. And he hasn't really won much lately, but he's one of the best golfers out there is Jason Day. However, this past weekend they played at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Jason Day wore a sweatshirt and sweatpants.
No, you don't wear sweats while playing golf.
He wore a gray sweatshirt and gray sweatpants.
If you want to be casual, at least wear a nice pair of dress shorts.
But yeah, he literally looked terrible.
Looked like a schlub.
People were comparing him to Fetterman. At some point, you've got this. His brand sponsor makes the
bullshit.
Yeah,
not buying it.
No, and maybe this is a reason why he hasn't won that much in recent memory. Unfortunately, you know who won at Pebble Beach?
Yeah, rat face.
Yeah, Rory McIlroy. The NFL. Okay. You and I have been railing on this bullshit PR campaign they've had going on for years, where they have made the players wear the little messages on the backs of their helmets, and they've had the messages behind the end zones.
Yeah.
This is all going to circle back to what I mentioned about the Chiefs earlier. Another reason why I picked the Chiefs. For the first time since they started this bullshit, the end zones will not have the end racism little slogan on there. Because I guess every Super Bowl since they started this, they've had the end racism, on the end, the back end line in the end zones. This year they will make it choose love. Conspiracy theory says they're doing it because that's what was in the end zone last weekend for the Chiefs when they won the AFC Championship.
Boom.
But I just put them on here overall because just get rid of this bullshit. I would rather have...
Stop the ad campaign.
I honestly would have I'd have a corporate sponsor. You want to put Uber Eats on there? Or State Farm, I'd rather see that.
Why do they have to have anything?
Well, I know. That's what
Why are we taking away from the event?
But I would rather have a corporate sponsor than these bullshit social slogans.
No, we don't need any more corporate sponsorship.
So would you rather have End Racism or State Farm?
Nothing.
I know, but you have to pick.
No, I choose nothing. That is my pick.
All right. I agree with you, by the way. You're making this very difficult because I was trying to give you either or. No, I choose the third option.
I want the other.
This, that, or the other. Great Seinfeld reference, by the way.
You're welcome.
All right, couple from Yahoo Sports. Because I'm just pissed off at Yahoo this week. I've already told you my story about how I had to email them about their political BS. But I hate mistakes. Now, I'm not a fault finder necessarily.
But when they're glaring.
When you send me an email, I don't expect you to get it right. You got autocorrect and all that bullshit. But if you run a website for a TV station or you run a major sports website, I expect you to get your shit right.
Damn well better be professional.
So I'm going to ask you, what is wrong with this statement? Ohio State, I'm paraphrasing it, but you would probably be able to figure out the mistake. Ohio State had a very bad couple of weeks after they won the national championship. They lost their offensive coordinator to the NFL. They lost their defensive coordinator to Penn State. And they lost their GM to USC.
Ohio State did not lose their GM to USC. Notre Dame did. Fucking morons. Get your stories straight.
I saw that and I was like,
oh my God.
You go on this big rant about how Ohio State's program has been decimated, and then you make a critical mistake like that?
That's pathetic.
And I know maybe we picked it out easier because of where we are, but still. You're talking about major college programs, either way. Ohio State, Notre Dame, and USC. And he never corrected it in the follow-up. Never corrected it the next day. I expected to see I made a mistake in yesterday's newsletter.
Not when it was written by an AI.
Yeah. Like, you idiot. No, it was Notre Dame's general manager. Then the other thing with Yahoo, as we're almost done, the other thing with Yahoo, they posted this morning their NBA power rankings, where they ranked the teams 1 through 30. Best team to worst team. They had the Spurs at number 9. Ninth best out of 30 teams. Do you know what the Spurs record was as of this evening? 21 and 26. 21 and 26.
They're under 500, but they're the number 9 ranked team.
Yeah. Because they got De'Aaron Fox.
That does not... No. Just dumb.
Had them ahead of both the Lakers and the Mavericks after the Doncic-Davis trade. But both of those teams above 500. As is. Then finally, I want to call out the coward. The coward of the county. Great Kenny Rogers song.
Kenny Rogers, yes.
These scumfuck baseball writers. The one guy who did not vote for Ichiro to get into the Hall of Fame will not disclose his identity.
Because he's a little pansy ass.
And this is the same thing that happened a few years ago with Derek Jeter. The one voter who did not put Derek Jeter in, whether you agree with it or not, whether you agree with Ichiro being unanimous, Derek Jeter being 30 or 40 players should have been unanimous.
Easily.
Going back to Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle. The fact that Mariano Rivera is the only unanimous pick is a travesty.
It's pathetic.
But the fact that this guy who did not put Ichiro in
won't come clean.
He's a pussy. He's a coward and he's a dumbass. So there you go. I got Adam Silver 10-minute quarters. I did forget one. I'm sorry. ESPN.
They could be every week.
I hate arrogant, pretentious people. Okay? And I hate Jeff Passan with a passion. He's the new ESPN baseball insider over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
They grabbed him from Yahoo Sports. When they show him his little video, when he does his little insider moments, and he's got Rage Against the Machine.
Yes.
He's such a pretentious little douchebag. And his perfect little hair. Remember how we make fun of people when they use a big word? And you say, how long you been waiting to work that one into the conversation?
Yeah.
You prick.
We do that to each other regularly.
Yes. I remember years ago we used to plethora. How long you been waiting to work that into a conversation, Kev? Talking about a recent transaction involving the Kansas City Royals. Jeff Passan wrote, Kansas City has a panoply of lefties in their bullpen.
Good Lord.
Panoply. Who the fuck uses that word in everyday conversation? Hey,
Arrogant,
Jeff.
egotistical twits.
Yeah, Jeff, I got a panoply of dicks for you to suck, buddy. You pretentious douchebag twit. Okay, now I'm done. So now we've got Adam Silver, Jeff Passan, Kevin Durant, Jason Day, Yahoo times 2, the Ichiro snubber, and the NFL's little Super Bowl end zone bullshit. There you go. That's all of them.
Yahoo times 2. It's
Yeah.
gotta be
Boy, yeah, the one mistake is
the glaring article without a correction is what's wrong with everything in news media these days.
And everybody makes mistakes, but when you are paid to report accurate news and you make mistakes and you don't correct them or you don't issue an apology,
then there's a big problem. That's got to be it for me.
all right, I wanted to go with Jeff Passan just because I hate him so much. And I have never used the word panoply ever in my life until this moment tonight. But I'm gonna throw you a curveball. I'm going with Jason Day.
There you go.
I respect golf too much for a guy getting paid millions of dollars a year to go out looking worse than I would on a golf course is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form.
Nope.
I go out in my Bushwood Country Club shirt and my 10-year-old cargo shorts, and I look better than Jason Day? You gotta be kidding me. Come on.
It's ridiculous.
Not right, not cool. So I go with Jason Day. Dave goes with the Yahoo times 2.
All right. And there we go.
All right, I know I screwed this up at the end of the weekend edition last week. He's your Uncle Dave.
He's your Uncle Kev.
And it is time for your Uncle Dave to say goodnight to the kids.
Good night to the kids.